how to add decisions and nodes. So for the record, this is going to be changing relatively soon with the new design, and you'll also see there's a small calculation error happening here. To be able to add an event or a decision, you click on a node. You have on the right hand side here your lists of options. Here we're going to add an event, and we're going to pick from the drop down menu one of the 4 that we currently support. We're going to add an expense. We're going to give it a name. We're going to pick a date. We're going to set a frequency, which is monthly, and we're going to say $200. And again, you will see there's a calculation error happening here. We can add in a star value here if we want to at this particular stage and say continue. And that's now added in a expense event. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a decision. So here we are going to pick from this moment here, we're going to say add a decision. We're going to give it again a quick default name, and that now adds in a square here which represents a decision. From a decision we can add options. Events and options are very similar, and we'll be refining this in the new interface. But for now we're going to choose to add an option. And let's just say we have 2 different things to pick from. Maybe there's 2 different incomes. So we're going to pick income. We're going to give this a default name. We're going to set a date for this. We're going to say that this is weekly. And we're going to say that it is $150. I'm going to skip the steps here at the bottom for speed and say continue. So we've now added in that option. On the same node here still, I can now choose to add another option. So there's going to be a different income event. Let's say we choose income, give it a name, give this a date. We are going to say that this one is maybe semi-monthly, and we are going to give that $272. We're going to add that in. So you can now see the 2 of these here stacked up against each other. Now, really important, and this will get better in time, in order to bring these 2 things together, you currently have to click on the preceding decision and say that you want an added decision downstream. So for example, if I was clicking on this and saying add decision, it's going to create a decision directly after it, but it doesn't bring these 2 threads together. So I'm going to delete this, and instead you have to click on this node here, which is upstream. It contains these 2 options, and it's like we're closing that off. So I'm going to now say I'm going to add a decision, and this will drop a decision after the 2 that brings them 2 together, and then we can branch off from there. Okay. Likewise, I have to come back here again. I could click add decision, and it's going to insert that in between. This will be refined in the updated version, so this is a temporary way of creating networks for now. Note that I can come in here, for example, and I can choose to add an event. Adding an event is creating something that carries on. It's not a branch. So I'm adding an event here, adding an expense, giving it a name, giving it a date. Let's call this a one-time expense and say that is $1,500. And that will drop a node it's following that particular node and then feeding back into the following decision. Again, a bit confusing right now, will get better, and look forward to feedback on this particular workflow.